Interesting cutaway. It looks like they're in this middle of this dark space, and they just well, that's how they draw it. But like they're
I'm,
not inside the tank itself, right? It feels like this group of things just.
I mean, they might as well be if that would be a good cutaway if the outside is so inhospitable as to be outside is death. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with Legends of the Galactic Heroes, the OG version. Gaiden, Season 1, Episode 2. First thing I want to do though, go ahead and bring up the board. The educational system of seeing if Lessons can figure out my thought process and any changes made to a thing that he sees twice. Or bi-weekly, rather, I should say.
I mean, we have Reinhard and Siegfried added. Their sister has to be added down here, civilian.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, you didn't add her? Why not?
Why wouldn't I have added her?
Yeah, but where is she now?
Well, it's a vertical tower. Your choices are up or down.
Oh, you added a nobility level. Okay.
I didn't add nobility level. It's always been there. We just never had any nobility.
And
kind of the same way if
von
you look across
Grunewald.
High Council on the other side.
I guess you didn't put the Emperor here.
We haven't seen the Emperor.
Oh, we did in a flashback.
We did. In fact, you're right. That is a fault on my end. Although they haven't named him yet. But I could have still put him there. I could have put an image up. Oh, to be fair,
yeah,
we haven't actually seen the Emperor. You're wrong. You're wrong and you're right at the same time. Because remember something you specifically said last episode?
Oh, he was imagining what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know if that's even what he looks like.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, that's true.
Annie Rose von Grunewald and Susanna von Benemunde.
Names, those are names.
My German, anybody who speaks German is going like.
All my German comes from high school. 2 years of it. Never used.
And of course, we have Reinhard von Musel and Siegfried Kirscheis.
You know, and all the other characters that were in this episode.
Von Musel, it just sounds like what's the that's the thing that it's for. Metamucil, yeah.
For post-nasal drip, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fungenberg. Yeah, Fungenberg, because he was the guy who was like, oh, you're going to kill him? No.
There's a funny thing that happened last episode where, what's his name? Scrolling up.
Herder.
Yeah, Herder grabs a gun or goes to grab a gun from a drawer, and I make a comment about like, oh, it'd be kind of stupid to shoot this guy here. And you say something about, no, he's implying that they're going to kill Reinhardt. And I go, oh, yeah, that's right. And I just agree with you. I'm pretty sure he was about to shoot, scroll back down here, down the tower. Fungenberg. Yeah. I actually think he was going to shoot Fungenberg if Fungenberg didn't agree with the assassination plot. Like, if he read the note and then he just becomes somebody who knows, he's going to shoot him. So I think I was actually right the first time.
You were right in that sense. I mean, I'm not saying that you're completely wrong. I'm just saying that it's a weird scene.
I mean, I read it more. Okay, when in the process of correcting, I think I was right about that. I think you were also right about the tank thing at the end. I think that they are in that tank because I remember giving a lot of like flack about. No, I don't think they'd be in that tank if they were going to be blown up. I think it's pretty clear that they are in that tank in the next time on preview. But yeah, no, I also did everything from the last 3 episodes that we watched, so the last 2 of the Yang stuff. So we also have Hortense and Milbel down here.
Oh.
It was so far to see where your mouse is. This fucking tower, man. You remember who she is, right?
I don't, actually.
See, even if you were
I,
following the trail up, I know you'd have like 5 minutes or a minute and a half
yeah,
until you got there. You don't
yes.
remember the big event for the last 2 episodes? There was only one event.
Oh, the marriage, yes.
Or the
So she's
dinner.
the
I guess you
daughter.
could. I would also accept a dinner
Yeah, the dinner and the marriage was during the
during the last episode.
yeah, and she's the daughter of a retired admiral.
That used to be
So,
Alex's boss.
so I guess that's where they met, and he courted her. Hortense Mil. So it must be Admiral Milbell.
I guess. I mean, it's not somebody we've seen.
Yeah, but it must be important, I guess. Important enough to make sure that yeah.
I guess the other thing is I added Siegmeister to the Alliance side because obviously he defected.
Yeah.
So I moved all those lines over here to represent he's over here. Also, the yellow border because that's what I think I've labeled defection as. And the fact that he met Bruce Ashby and was actively assisting him, now he has that green tie to Bruce Ashby.
Yeah.
I'm sure this board won't get more complicated. So we're still in just the backstory territory. Alright, well, that's the changes I have made to the board. I clearly have thoughts, as I always do, but do you have anything you want to go over?
We talked about this before, how this episode compared to everything we saw before was very action driven. Stuff was happening very quickly. Also, they made it a point of making the Imperial side be very cruel at multiple levels.
I said mirror universe.
Yeah. So this girl from ostensibly a middle class family gets sold to the Emperor. I mean, that's how it's described. It could be a little more complicated. They could be still minor nobility, like knights or something like that.
I'll just go ahead and
Squires.
read this thought out real quick while we're on that topic. You implied last recording that Reinhardt sold his sister, and I didn't pick that up until I was editing. Reinhardt didn't sell his sister. His dad sold her.
His dad is, yeah.
We hear Reinhardt shouting at his dad about it.
Yeah. And so they did that, and the implication, and then this other woman who could have been the wife, paramour, whatever, of the Emperor was angry enough and powerful enough to order the assassination.
Well,
not of her.
Let me cover something about that real quick then, too, while we're on it. The woman that hates Countess Grunwald and is actively trying to get Reinhardt and Siegfried killed insinuates that Grunwald begged for her brother to be promoted to ensign. Sorry, this is actually the wrong thought. But the other guy suggests that Reinhardt asked to be put on the front lines himself as a way to fight the insinuation of nepotism or favor. Sorry, that was the wrong thought. I had specifically written the note about this woman. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it was the one right below it. The same woman that's trying to get Reinhardt killed was rumored to have become the Empress, but she's had a stillborn and 2 miscarriages, which is why the Emperor's favor has been with Grunwald, i.e. Reinhardt's sister. So she would have been the Empress, but, that thing that Emperors have a problem with.
Well,
Heirs.
it might heirs, yeah, no, but it also implies that maybe, although this is supposed to be built on sort of a Germanic style government, that maybe the Emperor is more like the Chinese Emperor who has multiple concubines, right? So she's still in the court, but has lost the Emperor's favor.
She very specifically does mention the court.
Yeah, so she's lost the Emperor's favor because he can't give him children. So now they bring this new woman who, of course, have intimate access to the Emperor, and now also become a countess, right? Because we don't hear Reinhardt having a title. You would think that his father or him would have a title if they were nobles, but if she got elevated to nobility by the Emperor in order to be acceptable, right? She's not just because the idea would be that she would be elevated to minor nobility, which is what a count would be. Compare that to a duke or something like that, or her, she was a duchess. So that would be double resentment, right? A commoner, even a middle class commoner, gets automatically bumped up to nobility, so that she could have the legitimate children of the emperor, depending on how legitimacy works at the imperial level, right? I mean, level of the emperor himself. He could break the rules, perhaps. Others might have to follow more stricter rules. Necessarily, you don't have to, the rules for him might not be the rules for everyone else.
I mean, a famous guy once did say, "It's good to be the king."
Exactly. And so she's pissed off at that, but of course she can't go against her directly because in a way that would be going against, and she said so, I think, I can't go against her because that would be seen as going against the emperor, right? And she won't survive that. Even if she doesn't care for the countess, the insinuation that somebody would take that away from him probably be enough to go like, oh no, you're so dead. I'm just going to have to kill you for treason. I'll kill you for murder, but really I'm killing you for treason, for insulting me, right? I guess would insulting the emperor be considered a treasonous act? Could be. Treason can be as wide or as narrow as.
Well,
as
remember we have
it.
thought police, so I'm assuming yes, because it would be the crime of. Shit, I had something.
Wrong thought.
Well, yeah. Well, we're going 1984 on it, sure. I'm sure it's some level of.
There's a word for it, and escaping my mind right now.
Well,
sedition.
No,
it would be.
Sorry, I keep mentioning it because it's pretty damn good. Banner of the Stars, Crest of the Stars.
Yeah.
Literally. Sorry, there is a scene where they're trying to negotiate which prisoners should be evacuated from the planet first, and literally one of them tries to seduce the noble in the room, and the other one, noticing it doesn't work, insinuates that he might be gay, and the other guy in the room says that is a crime because you're bad-mouthing nobility, and it's a very specific rule or law that he brings up that is an actual, old European, when the nobles were a thing, law about talking ill of, princes, princesses, nobility, actual nobility, and I can't remember what it is. Yeah. And they brought it up, and it always enters into my mind still. Oh, God, it starts with an S, I think.
I mean, I said sedition. I don't know.
No, sedition is... I mean, you can be accused of sedition today. This is very specifically a crime against nobility. It's literally name-calling, and it's, punishable by death. I brought it up once before in the Notes from the ALM chat, and I cannot fucking for the life of me. Oh, here it is. Lese-meji. I don't know how to pronounce this. This is literally the page for. It's not the word that they used, but I know it's what I've looked up before. Lese-majesty is a offense or defamation against the dignity of a ruling head of state, usually a monarch, but more often a president, or the state itself. God, it has another name for it too, but that is literally the crime. Basically, you performed an indignity against the crown, and you will pay. And that is the... I appreciate it. The image, though, is for treason, so I guess it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The image of a guy farting in a picture of the king's face.
Yeah. You're diminishing the you're attempting to diminish the stature of those above you, and that's intolerable.
I mean, I think that's what she would be guilty of in this case.
Yeah,
I don't know what the other word for this is, but there was a very succinct word that wasn't. I know that when I was watching Banner of the Stars, I wasn't parsing French. So
but the thing that makes it confusing is that his best friend constantly refers to him, especially when they're together in the base, as my lord, and he doesn't contradict it. Yet,
well, you remember we had a conversation about the fact that they grew up next door to one another, but one of them refers to the other one as having a commoner's name.
Yeah. So probably he was minor nobility, maybe a knighthood or a squire or something like that, right? I mean, there's so many ranks of nobility, and you can be a minor noble that, and also in this world, it seems that all the nobles kind of have the important jobs, right? They run ministries, like what happened in nobility up to the 19th century in some places in Europe, like in France and Germany. Oh, hey, there's a bunch of nobles. Well, you run that ministry because you're a noble. You're a captain of a ship. You're an admiral, etc. Right? So it seems to be a tie with that, which is makes it for interesting world building. So maybe he is a minor nobility, which would be good enough to get her father to get the door with his daughters. Like, yeah, we're noble. We're part of the aristocracy. Maybe we're not big shots, but it's like, okay, fine. Well, you can't be like the daughter of a country knight or something. So you're a countess now. Get into my bed.
I mean, as was indicated, I believe by you last time, is that there has to be a ton of nobility. Also, this is a whole fucking empire, right?
Yeah.
So getting one girl pulled out of all the noble girls of all the empire still has to be pretty much a trick.
I mean, I'm sure that a lot of women or families are vying to get into the upper echelons of the empire by trading their children around, right?
What makes it all that much more of a trick then? The more people trying for it, the all more special you've got to be the one success.
But I think it does point perhaps to the fact that maybe he doesn't, the emperor in the center doesn't have an official wife, like an empress, that he may have like, concubines, right? He has these, lovers. And so he's allowed to have more than one woman around, either as he may have one official wife, maybe, and a lot of mistresses. He may have no wife and a lot of concubines, Chinese style.
It feels more like Henry V than Chinese court, right?
Where he just swaps one wife for another.
Well, I mean, because Chinese court would be more so I have a number of families under me, and all these kids from each of these families is trying to vie for being, the next emperor, versus I'm actively having an affair, and I'm sending my current wife off to live at the monastery while I annul that marriage to have this one or kill or whatever. Because actively we only know about two. That being the one who's currently plotting against Reinhard, who was again rumored to become the next empress, but obviously not, or isn't happening now. And the fact that the emperor is currently minorly ill with a flu or something, and Grunwald Anna Rose is the only one next to him because he's happy with just her, and it's not like she's not conspiring with all the other girls, right?
Yeah.
So,
but if that were the case, why is it that you already mentioned that she failed to give her children? You would think that if it were sort of Western style, they'll get married first and then try to give her children. But it doesn't seem like they were married. That the only way she could get that title would be to prove to have children first. Like, give me a child. You've proven yourself to be a worthy wife to me, and I will elevate you then to an empress. Again, it's not very clear
point
how
of
this
fact
works.
is that we don't know the emperor's last name.
And also we don't know how exactly it works, but it
raises
a lot of questions.
To your argument about getting married and then trying to have kids, and then annulling or killing or whatever, and then moving on to the next one, is that of the two examples of noble women, we don't know if one of them shares his name, as in, like, maybe the one that was rumored to be and then tried to have a bunch of kids and failed. Maybe that is the emperor's last name, and she did get married. And then Grunwald is the one he's, hate to say it, grooming for that position. Well, because, again, one is just one guy's fantasy or nightmare about what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, one guy's using his position of power to get what he wants from a woman, and the woman is seems to be using that position of power that she's been put into to give benefits to her relatives.
Yeah.
So, and oddly enough, the guy who's clearly getting that benefit is doing his damnedest to not reap that benefit.
Well, again, we don't get enough information. We get inference. But also, when Reinhard and the other guy was like, oh, just because your sister is a countess doesn't mean that you get any special privilege. It's like, Yeah, fine. I don't expect any,
Well, no,
right?
it's more so
Uh,
no that your sister has the favor of the emperor. Don't expect
yeah,
any special treatment.
yeah. Which I guess it doesn't carry on to him, right? Because otherwise, if he had a high noble title, this captain would be acting very
Well, I
differently.
mean, that's what I
Even
was
though,
just saying, is that Reinhardt's trying to avoid the nepotism that might be inherent into the
Mhm,
system, that he wants to
yeah,
prove that he is as good as he
it's
wants to
hey,
be
mhm,
without interference,
yeah.
even though he's being interfered with on the other side.
I mean, yeah, but even then, okay, if he had, because there's a difference between his title and his rank. If he had a high title, even though he has a low rank, the captain, I think, would be a little more differential, would have coached it a little different.
I mean,
Like
more
he
so
was
that
like, he
we're
would be
dealing
more
with like 16th century military
exactly.
nobility sort of things, not
Yeah. So
not like modern day. You know, you're dealing with this office, but also this title. So I'm talking about more of an element of he's got the emperor's ear because his sister might be screwing the emperor or whatever, but he's actively trying not to do that. Also, he's not employing his own nobility, even if he's got it. He is trying
yeah,
to
but
boost himself up the
yeah,
ranks.
that might be what Reinhardt is doing, which is fine. I'm talking about the captain, like the captain, because the captain would be under two types of pressure, right? On the one hand, this is the subordinate, and he has to make sure the subordinate understand that he has to follow orders. But on the other hand, from a social perspective,
Well,
social
he's
political perspective, if Reinhardt had his own title, like I don't know, and the captain doesn't seem to have any title, he will have to coach it like, yeah, I'm talking to a nobleman here, so
also a
I
point
have
of
to coach
fact is
it.
that the captain has had the orders from, or the conspiracy from the Countess since before Reinhardt showed up. Because the
Yeah, but that
first
he
moment
would.
that we see him, he's got the folded paper, he's reading it, which he later
Yeah,
then shows to who's lieutenant, I think it is.
yeah,
So yeah, he's had that from the beginning. Plus, we also go over his motivations, in which he wants to get off the front lines. He doesn't want to be on this planet anymore. And
yeah. But
that's what he
I think
tells Furburger. Did not remember their names. I'm zoomed out too
either
far.
so
I'm just saying.
either he's a moron, which is completely possible, or because or he thinks he can get away with it because. But my simple take is, yeah, the title and the influence starts and stops more or less with his sister, and due to a combination of factors, Reinhardt could try to play on that, but he doesn't have as much room to maneuver, even if he wanted to. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. I know that.
That's saying it's
But
off the
even if they
table,
tried it, yeah,
regardless.
yeah, it's over. Yeah, that's he can even if he wanted to.
Well, I have at least 5 thoughts written here, so we got to take a couple steps backwards, even further from the first episode of this, because we did a
Mm-hmm.
couple of episodes of a spiral labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
So the end all of the investigation was that Bruce Ashby was killed in action and not murdered. The whole Siegmeister / Michelson spy network really didn't amount to anything. And I don't mean that as a critique of the story, but in the narrative itself. One of the things we learned about halfway through was that none of Ashby's victories had any real lasting effect on the war itself. Kind of makes me wonder if the intelligence network was holding back to ensure Imperial losses was negligible to the overall war effort.
I mean, or we're talking about such. I mean, they did. The last battle was significant enough that the Empire, lost all those admirals and ships, so it may have actually had an impact, at least momentarily.
Except that they made no forward. I'm sorry, the Alliance made no forward headway after the battle either. So, again, literally every one of Ashby's victories was meaningless at the end of the day. Well, meaningless to the overall war effort, obviously not meaningless to the people that died.
Or I guess, I mean, again, the alliance seems to be fighting a defensive battle mostly. So as long as they can keep, the empire at bay, it's considered a victory, not a major
Well, we
victory,
did
but
cover that.
so
That's what the
earlier,
Alliance
yeah.
soldier thinks, that it's a victory to hold territory, and that apparently the Empire doesn't really fucking care either way. They want to win, but they're not put off by losing.
Because they always can try again, I guess. They always have more cannon fodder.
All right. Yang wondering if Kristoff's wife and lover are still alive has me wondering if we need to keep our eyes open for them or their kid. I guess it's possible the kid would still bear his last name, given that the mother couldn't legally remarry, and thus he would probably have Kristoff's last name.
Yeah.
Just off the top of your head, you remember Kristoff's last name?
Nope.
So not gonna matter even if he shows up. Now, unless you there's a big story happening and we go back to the board one day, like, wait a second, who's this guy again? 70 episodes down the road.
Could happen. This series is this franchise has a lot of stuff.
I thought it was funny that the consideration of Gang's story was that Siegmeister defected from the Empire thinking a Republican democracy would be better, but then living in it saw how corrupt it was as well and considered defecting back to the Empire.
Which, considering how the Empire works, that would not have been a good idea.
I don't know, man.
But
it's a guy from the Empire who knows how bad the Empire is, goes to the Alliance. This place fucking sucks, and considers going back to the Empire.
Yeah, but I don't think the Empire would have got open, received an open arms. Like, oh, thank you for coming back. Would you kindly take that blindfold and step over in front of that pole over there?
Would you like a cigarette?
Right with you. Like, yeah, like maybe a handkerchief over your heart so that soldiers know where to shoot.
Yeah, it's not often that you hear about the re-defectors, but it's just, well, I guess after the fact we call them double agents.
I mean, also, by the way, he knew how horrible the Empire was because his father was the person guaranteeing that people got punished and stayed in lines. And he read all the books that got confiscated. What's the name? It's not gun kata. That's the technique. The Equilibrium, I think, is in the
Equilibrium.
The name of the movie. Yeah. Equilibrium, yeah. Where it's his father was one of the agents. What was it called? They had an
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I thought they were agents.
They had a name that was like a preacher or something like that. They had religious.
I
which
don't
is interesting
remember that.
because one of the things about this government is that they had no religion, right? Because religion would
because he leaves the city basically, and I just remember them sitting in a church reading a book.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen Equilibrium. No, anyway, my point was that that was the funny part, is that he knows how bad the Empire is, defects from the Empire, and the Alliance to him is so bad he still considers going back. It's like he knows that he can't, though, but it's a point of order that it's thrown out there. He thinks about going back. So I guess it's the level playing field of both sides are bad.
Still prefer the Alliance, though.
Well, you do. Clearly, Siegmeister was, either or at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, no, actually, he was not either or because he wanted to use the Mafia to change the Alliance from within. That was his whole thing, according to, what. That's why he went with Ashby. He's like, oh,
no,
if I can
because
get these young
Ashby's political career wasn't even on the table at the time, so changing things from the inside wasn't his main point. He got disillusioned with how things were going and was calling it all quits, and then Bruce Ashby comes into picture, but he doesn't. Bruce Ashby's possible political career doesn't even start happening until literally just before he dies. So
I mean, that's when he becomes becomes a possibility, like an open secret.
Right. But I'm saying that the conversation that they have about that doesn't come into play on the Siegmeister side of things, is what I'm saying. The very end wrap-up of Siegmeister's story, as Yang is telling it, literally over drinks, is that the whole politics thing, changing it from the inside, never happens on the Bruce Ashby end of things. And I mean, that's an element, but I mean, it doesn't come into play as something that he was driving to do. I don't
think he does
actually know
mention-
what his goal is. That's why I paused to think, because I don't recall what his end goal of anything was. Because once we get to the point where I have his disillusionment and where he reconsiders going back to the Empire, that's when Bruce Ashby enters the picture. And he basically just feeds Bruce Ashby information, and that's when he starts doing stuff with it, but he isn't in control of shit anymore. He's in control of the information network, he's in control of what Bruce does with it, and then that's when Bruce just starts winning fights and stuff. So the political element would have been on Bruce's side, not on Siegmeister's side.
I mean, he could have been hoping that if he helped these people, they eventually, not just Bruce, but all of them would be in a position of power to do some changes, perhaps, right?
I don't know.
Because otherwise,
also says if he had
help him? Why help him, right? There's no reason to help him. If he's disillusioned with the alliance, he says, well, the network is not working anymore. Sorry, I'm done, right? Unless he was under threat of being killed himself, like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you all these riches and fame and position if you help us, but if you can't help us,
no, that doesn't seem to be a thing. There. No, because I've got my whole timeline of notes, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, my next thought here: the dates Yang gave for Siegmeister's activities do not line up. He says that Siegmeister used a room in the Joint Chiefs HQ from 728 to 738. But then also says that Siegmeister died in 737. In fact, he says that Siegmeister met Bruce Ashby in 738 when he was 56 years old. Yang says he retired at 63, which would be 7 years after he met Bruce Ashby, so UC 745. Then 3 years later, which Yang says is 737, Siegmeister dies. I went back multiple times. He says 737 is when Siegmeister dies. I have ignored that in my timeline. It just kept with the whole 7 years later after he met Bruce Ashby. I've kept to how old he said Siegmeister was when things happened, instead of 737, where he says he dies, which, by the way, he'd still be working in that office doing the intelligence work if that was true.
Yeah.
And not living on the farm where he has a he has a pneumonia condition where he dies.
Yeah.
So yeah, the show in the very end of that 14 episode run goes entirely inconsistent. My last thought here is I incorrectly said that these episodes were chronologically in the past of Yang's. They are, according to the on-screen prompts, happening 2 years after Alex's wedding at the end of Spiral Labyrinth. So we join Reinhardt 2 years after everything Yang just went through.
Oh. Interesting.
Well, I mean, it just implies that I guess maybe either Yang is older than Reinhardt, or Reinhardt just got a late start.
No, probably. I mean, he could be older by a couple of years, I suppose.
Well, because Yang did like Alpha Seal and all this other stuff before Reinhardt does anything. Reinhardt literally just got out of the academy 2 years after Yang has gotten out of the academy, become a hero, went to Iconia and did that, became the hero of Iconia, attended a wedding, met a guy who died of old age. As I said, Yang has had whole adventures. Reinhardt just got out of the academy.
Basic.
Yeah.
Just get out of boots, basically.
That might be why Reinhardt's stuff is so short. Reinhardt hitting the ground running. Yang has been literally what he says at the end of the wedding. Oh, looks like my vacation is over. All right, well, I mean, those are all of my thoughts. Anything else you want to add here?
No.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh man, I can't wait to see what the Galaxy Fairy's up to today. I'll be honest, I have to rewatch the last 3 episodes because I cannot remember what's been happening in Frontier already. My memory is going. But that's why I put off the notes until like before we do the recording so I can get back into it, get back into my deep thoughts.
I mean, that's going to be on Saturday, right?
Yep. Yep, this is I guess for the benefit of the audience, this is a single recording. Typically we do all these episodes like 3 at a time. We don't have a Patreon redemption to do this week, or rather I did it solo. So we're using that slot to get an extra Legends out. So otherwise this week we'll be recording 3 episodes of Across Frontier. And everything else that we normally record.
Yeah.
Also kind of
It's
looks like a
spaceship.
heart.
Yeah, but it's a spaceship.
Well, I know it's a spaceship. It just looks like a heart, though.
Yeah. No.
Also, she was here on the hill, and now she's not.
It seems to be like some kind of distant memory of their childhood, right? Maybe they were
Except that
playing
they're still
something else or
kids.
something. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Their childhood.
It would be different if they were children running up the hill, and then they get there, and she's not there, and then they're in their like military uniforms.
惑星カプチェランカは帝国軍の要衝であるイゼルローン要塞から自由惑星同盟方
That
向
was past Iserhorn.
8.65年を侵入した中点に位置
A name that I've never said right, even throughout all of D&T.
668日のうち600日以上冬が占め、ほとんど毎日のようにブリザードが吹き荒れている。このため
600 days of December.
攻撃に適さず、戦火は主に地上において交えられている。
最終チェックをする。
はい、お願いします。
主砲120ミリレールキャノン。
120ミリレールキャノン、異常なし。
副砲汎用家電粒子ビームキャノン。
汎用家電粒子ビームキャノン、異常なし。
Looks so much better than a
車
DOP.
体強度自己診断装置。
Yeah.
車体強度
He's
For you Legends fans, that's a Gundam thing.
電波吸収装
Yeah.
置、異常なし。
radio absorption.
赤外線吸収装置。
赤外線吸収
Also, camouflage from heat sensors
低周波吸収装置。
and radios.
吸収装置、異常なし。
水素電池残量。
水素電池残量 99.8%。
Tap it. Tap it a couple times. It might be wrong.
次完成広報装置。
完成広報装置、異常なし。
赤外線暗視装置。
Noctovision.
赤外線暗視装置
The fuck is Noctovision?
指向性集音解析装
And
置。
nocturnal vision, I
We'll see through
suppose?
all those
異
Nocts.
常なし。
That probably is what it is. Night vision. Is that Lieutenant?
No.
How can you say no? It's literally a nondescript face. Same hair color.
Because I think this is the lieutenant.
That could be the captain.
I don't think you would.
How many people are going to run around this corner? I assume he's going to sabotage the tank or plant a bomb. Even though the plan is for the enemy to kill them. So sabotage, probably.
その拠点の位置を確認し、我が軍がそれを攻撃、破壊、もしくは占拠するための情報を収集すること。以上だ。
何のつもりだ大佐は。出発間際になってのブリーフィングといい、相変わらず内容に具体性を書く命令といい。
少なくとも作戦の成功を期としているとは思えませんね。
いや、それどころか明らかに悪意を抱いている。しかし、その理由が今一つ不明だな。
単なる嫌がらせにしては度が過ぎていますし。
Like I say, for fighting in an ice landscape, bright red hair gotta be the biggest drawback.
Could wear a helmet or something.
花を明かしてやるさ。
Tank
我
17.
々二人で敵の基地を乗っ取ってしまいましょうか。
They'll never expect total victory.
そうさ。その意気だ、キルヒアイス。
Okay, so their backpack tells them what tank they're in. I'm not that good at Roman numerals.
I think it's the 50th tank, I think.
I don't know what L is in Roman numerals. I go up to
Yeah. 52, I think it is. Interesting cutaway. It looks like they're in this middle of this dark space, and they just well, that's how they draw it. But like they're not inside the tank itself, right? It feels like this group of things just.
I mean, they might as well be if that would be a good cutaway if the outside is so inhospitable as to be outside is death.
抜かりなく。
うん。
Yeah, it was him. Let's drive across this lake.
私がいたしますので。
どうせ交代してもらうさ。それとも俺の運転では信用できないか。
ラインハルト様が実技でも最優等生だったのはよく存じております。
From the talented school of tell, don't show.
射撃、白兵戦技、運転技術もそうだ。
いつでもラインハルト様の運
Hope you're writing this down.
務まるようにですよ。
You know what Reinhardt's good at.
この先いくらでも見つかるさ。護衛役もそうだ。だけどお前はそれだけじゃダメだ。俺の代理として何万隻もの艦隊を率いてくれる。
Wow, this guy's ambitious.
大事なのは戦略ですか。
そうさ。もっとも学校の成績は当てにはならない。暗記と模倣に重点を置きすぎ、あれでは独創性は育たない。
ラインハルト様が重視されるのは想像と構想ですね。
そうだ。それにつけても、あの騎士の連中には戦略的な意義。
If your concept of what Yang is up to is that we're meeting like all of Yang's future companions,
Yeah.
I think it's fairly clear that Reinhardt has the
This guy-
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
目的を達成するために何をなすべきか、まるで考えていない。敵がいれば戦って勝てば良いとしか思っていないのだ。
おっしゃる通りです。この装甲車がいい例ですね。膨大な開発費を投入して最新の電子機器を搭載しても
Compare this to Yang's self-driving car.
互いにテクノロジーを無力化し合って挙句の果てに軍用剣や伝書鳩が未だに使われたりする。
その意味では敵の同盟軍も同様だがな。
ええ、お互いに硬直した考えから抜け出せないで無意味な小競り合いを繰り返しているとしか思えません。
どうせなら敵にもそれなりに優秀なやつがいてほしいものだ。
I mean, it is a major juxtaposition now.
戦いがいがないというものだ。
State-of-the-art battle tank, carrier pigeon.
人類社会は銀河連邦の時代を経てルドルフ・フォン・ゴールデンバウムの簒奪による
ゴールデンバウム
銀河帝国の成立から482年、その間帝国の圧政を逃れた人々が自由惑星同盟を建国し、両者は激しく対立して150年が経過していた。
That's about what Yang said. 150 years.
カプテランカも係争地の一つである。豊かな天然資源に恵まれたこの惑星も双方にとってなくてはならないというほどのものではなかった。
Also weird that they had a planet named after a fleet.
なるかという低次元の動機から激しい戦闘が毎年のように繰り返されていた。
One system over on the Alliance side was a system called Van Fleet.
だいぶ暗くなったな。そろそろ赤外線暗視システムに切り替えるか。
はい。
どうした？
変です。これをご覧になってください。
I told you, you gotta flick it.
停車させろ。
はい。
They went from 99.8% power to, was it 5?
警告灯の異常ではありません。やはり 水素電池が消耗しています。
水素電池は新しいものに変えたばかりだぞ。この目で確認した。
ええ、私も確認しました。
I confirmed it with my own eyes, that thing we physically did.
ずっと車のそばを離れなかったわけではありませんから。
That asshole. He left the blinkers on.
ということは大佐の差し金か。しかしこれはもう懲罰などというものではないな。ここで死ねということらしい。
ですが、ここまで大それた細工をする理由は何でしょう。後になって冗談だったでは済まないでしょうに。
それをぜひ知りたいものだ。
Nice animation, though.
That's where all the budget went for. That's why we have 4 episodes instead of 14.
ラインハルト様、引き返すにしてもエネルギーが持ちませんが。
とにかく夜が過ぎるのを待とう。動きたくともこれでは動けない。
はい。
Well, we got no choice now but to go take the enemy base.
ああ、
Oh, at least rated for fuel, for batteries. They use hydrogen batteries. How does a hydrogen battery work? I don't know, but...
Don't know. Seems like we're surrounded by hydrogen, though.
あとは俺がやる。キルヒアイスは車輪の跡を消してくれ。
はい。
You'd think the wind that you're already would be doing the job.
その辺でいい。あとは雪が積もって消してくれるだろう。
はい。
Also, all the Gundams that we've watched that I complain about people not using air superiority to keep track of people. And here it feels like there's no possible chance anybody can keep track of them. And they're still covering their tracks as though they could.
I mean, training, I suppose. You want to make sure that...
Well, I'm not mocking them for it. I just wish all the other shows were this diligent.
それは携帯端末で十分ですが、暖房も効きません。
防寒服で投資は免れそうだ。
It feels like the military version of Apollo 13.
保存食料の調理もできませんから、加熱しないで食べられるのは非常用の黒パンぐらいしかありませんが。
それでいい。何か食べないと投資ではなく餓死することになりかねない。
Very ominous, the music. Dun, dun.
Oh, yeah, no, I had to double check real quick. Was that the end of the episode? It's like, no, we're halfway. It's like, what?
Yeah.
姉上の作ってくれた玉ねぎのパイが食べたいな。
Onion pies. Yeah.
I just don't like onions at all. So onion pie sounds horrible. At the same time, that could also indicate that they're of low birth. Because I could see a bunch of commoners eating onions. That's when Reinhardt died from falling out of a tree. After turning that green line into a purple line. So much about the scene is wrong.
大佐のやつ、物資を横流しでもしているのかもしれんな。
ありえますね。兵士たちの大敗ぶりを見ても。
So essentially, we're just doing a Konya for Reinhardt.
Yeah.
帰ったら必ず暴いてやる。
帰ったらですか？
それが問題だな。このままでは帰る手段もなく投資か餓死だ。投資や餓死でなくても俺は地上で死ぬのは嫌だ。どうせ不老不死ではいられないのだから、せめて自分にふさわしい場所で死にたいものだ。
無理もない。この人の足は大地を踏みしめるためにあるのではなく、天空をかけるためにあるのだ。
キルヒアイス、お前は死に場所に望みがあるか？
In your sister's arms.
I was gonna say, I could say, but you kick my ass.
そばにラインハルト様がいらして、アンネローゼ様がいらして、あとは何もいりません。 ささやかな望みとは言えない。今アンネローゼ様は囚われの御身だ。宮廷という牢獄に。
俺が手に入れるものは
But the thing is, we know he doesn't die here. So it's like, how does he get out of this?
Yeah.
あと何でもな。でも今のところはこのまずい黒パンとぬるいコーヒー、あとは希望だけだな。
差し当たってはそれで十分ですよ。
コーヒーを飲んだら先に寝ろ。命令だ。
はい、少尉殿。
I listed them both as ensigns. Technically, Reinhardt is an ensign.
Yeah.
Siegfried is a junior ensign. I had no distinction for that on my board, so I just made them both ensigns. Enjoy the promotion, Siegfried. Now Reinhardt's gonna cut you open and sleep inside of you like a tauntaun. And I
Damn.
thought he spelled bad on the outside. Oh, thank God you finished that with a different.
あの子は他に友達を持とうとしないけど、あなた一人で十分と思う気持ちは私にもわかります。引き受けてくださる？
はい、はい、命に代えましても。
それではいけないわ。二人とも元気で帰ってきてくれないと。
With your shields are on them.
どちらかの犠牲になるような関係は長続きしないわ。あなた方二人はお互いに必要な存在であってほしいの。どうか互いに与え合う仲でいてね。
はい、アンネローゼ様のおっしゃる通りにします。私はあなたにとっても必要な存在なのでしょうか。
No, you're not. It's gonna turn out that he's all this pining for her, and she's like, "You were just
Actually
a
in
little
love
kid
with
to
the
me."
Emperor.
Or she sees him as a little kid that was his brother's little friend, right?
ラインハルト様。
敵の装甲車が3台うろついている。
わざわざ外に出てご覧になったのですか。起こしてくださればよいのに。
今起こしたところさ。
I mean, you literally should have woken you up because if something went wrong, you would want help.
先方の所在がわからない。怪我の巧妙だが、その分はこちらが有利だ。しかし。
Yeah, if you could capture one of their vehicles, you could get out of this.
Or at least take their batteries. If they're
Assuming they
compatible.
use the same batteries.
Like I said, compatible. If they're not, well.
ですが、これほど危険な土地に新任の我々だけを派遣して万一のことがあったら、後日問題になる。
It seems to me the ideal situation here would not only be escape alive, but also accomplish the mission. Because you also don't want to go back and then have him ride you for failure.
だとすると、これはやはりその何者かが仕組んだことなのでしょうか。
おそらくな。大佐一人のメンツがどうこういう次元のものじゃなさそうだ。俺たちがこの惑星に着く前から歓迎の準備でもしていたのかな。
どうなさいます？
それだが、敵の装甲車を手に入れれば、俺たちの生きて帰る道はずっと幅を広げるだろう。
Well, technically, no. You seize one of the enemy vehicles, you're gonna ride back and get shot at.
よし。
So
Also,
oddly,
abandoning
actually,
your
if
own
you
ways.
yeah, say oddly, if you pull terminology from a other show that we're watching, you could Trojan your horse your way into their base.
Yeah, I think they're gonna need their tauntauns for this.
使えそうだな。
I don't know what the fire extinguisher is for, though.
It's already cold enough, I guess.
Avalanche?
Yeah.
It'd be more effective than
Yeah.
shooting at one of the tanks.
If they isolate one of them, I suppose. Laser cannon? Particle cannon?
Hey, I was right. Their tank didn't blow up. It was a different tank. I called it. I shouldn't have second-guessed myself.
まず1台。
ラインハルト様にはやはり勝利の笑顔こそ
One down, two to go. Fired our only missile.
ごめんなさい
Rocket, brother.
ラインハルト、ジーク。陛下がお風邪を召したらしいの。行かなくては。
Another cold?
I think it's the same one. This is a,
Well, no, it was a minor cold last time.
No, but I think this is when they get the news that she has to go back to attend him because he has this cold. Not that he has another cold.
Yes, I'd much rather get hit by a missile directly.
待ち伏せに対して間違った反応ではありませんが
かっこ撃破の後期だ。2対8より2対4の方が勝算がある。行くぞ。
Do you remember the commentary of Ken Yang take out 15 prisoners by hand?
Yeah.
宇宙歴791年、帝国歴482年。
Oh, so now I understand why there's the 2 calendar years. Because the space year is for the original government. The imperial year is when they took over, because they mentioned earlier that there was a rebellion. Yeah, what happened? The empire got founded because there was a rebellion against the original government. And so imperial calendar starts there, I think.
Do you want me to weigh in?
I mean, that's what I figured out, because
No, it's
that would
D&T information. Because obviously, things I can and cannot talk about is I know the origin of the calendar system. Just to tell you how much in-depth things actually get around here.
also interesting that the opening song is, this one is, electric guitars and everything.
Well, it starts that way. It
Yeah.
sadly doesn't continue that way, because that would be pretty cool. 'Cause, I mean, so far we had Gang's investigation that literally goes nowhere, and then it gets sealed for 25 years.
Yeah.
And now we have Reinhardt's mission for survival. I mean, obviously, one of these is a lot more fun to watch. And assumedly the payoff will be better, even though we know how the payoff will go. Well, we know they survive, so...
Yeah, but I don't know how and what their relationship's going to be in the future.
Right. I just mean that we know they're going to survive. We know what the payoff is ultimately going to be.
Yeah.
Versus the payoff that was Spiral Labyrinth, which is to say, results unclear. I guess technically the only thing Gang really did was solve the Iconia problem. And Alpha Seal.
Yeah.
I guess technically you can count Alpha Seal as part of that. Otherwise, the binding material, that whole thing.
The implication of this is a
meaningless.
two-sided love affair, but I don't think it may or may not be.
Well, I don't think this implies it's a two-sided love affair. Looking
But
at
she
your
seems to
love
be-
in the sky distance doesn't imply anything. Other than you're in love with that one.
ヘルダー大佐の陰謀で父に追いやられたラインハルトとキルヒアイス。だが危機はすなわち好機でもある。遭遇した同盟軍からエネルギーの奪取を図る2人。ラインハルト上昇の神話が今始まる。次回銀河英雄伝説外伝白銀の谷第3話。友よ、覚えているか？あの戦いの日々を。
That is the disappointment in these, is that Spiral Labyrinth had episode names. Just about everything else has chapters. And it also, yeah, it looks like they're going to go on to take the Alliance base. Also, dude shows up in the ice.
I guess the captain, the lieutenant.
Yeah, not the captain.
No.
Well, thoughts?
I wish they spent less time talking about inside the tank and actually got to do the shooting. But yeah, it was a good sort of trying to understand where these characters are at and their relationship, which was already kind of established as well. So, you know. And,
Well, I mean,
you know,
the
and
talking inside the tank was necessary survival stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but the fact, well, they did figure it out that the captain had betrayed them. And they figured out that the captain wasn't smart enough to be doing the betraying by himself. He gains nothing from it, so it must come from someone else, right?
Well, yeah, he gains nothing of it of his own accord.
Mm-hmm.
The rewards come from outside.
Yeah. And also, it seems that as a countess, she has a little more freedom than I expected. And she's not, you know, the other guy says that she is a prisoner in the court, which means that she has to stay in that circle. But the fact that they were visiting her, right? And no chaperones, no, you know, no guards, like, okay, you kids, you know.
Okay, not who I
behave,
thought
right?
you meant. I thought you meant the other one.
Yeah. Not Reinhard, the redheaded guy. The guy's
No,
name.
no, you said freedom. I thought you were talking about, what's her name? The one that set up this whole assassination thing.
No, I'm talking about Ambrose. Lady Ambrose.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, you're talking about the one that appears in this episode. But for
Yeah.
some reason, that was the one I thought of when you brought up the title. It's also Anna Rose.
Anna Rose, yeah. Again, no names. A lot of them get confused.
Well, prepare to have a tower of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it's an interesting. It does have action at the end, like they ambushed his vehicle and all that, and that was
I mean,
pretty
you could
interesting.
very easily see if this was like a novel, how this would play out. I mean, how it would be written in the novel form. Obviously, oh, the tank's busted, whatever. We have to survive the night until something happens, and that's when you have all your exposition shit. And then, you know, one of them goes to sleep, and that's when that's when the people show up, that then we can ambush and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It plays itself well to a book form. I don't know if there's a light novel version of this or not.
Probably a manga at least.
I don't know. I do not know. All right, well, I mean, if that's all you've got, then of course I will obviously come back with more notes down the road. But until then, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?